And we talked a little bit about quarterbacks a little earlier this week, about how there's a lot of kind of moving parts and there's no real superstar in the quarterback ranks yet, but there could be one or two that emerge.
Sure.
And it got me thinking about freshmen, got me thinking about newcomers to the program.
Always a fun and exciting thing to talk about.
And talk about like impact freshmen, guys who could have a huge impact on their team in their first year on campus. And it's tough because, like, for example, if you wanted me to point to one first-year player who is going to have a major impact on their team, well, you could go with Damian Williams at Texas State, who's a transfer from Mississippi State, or you could go with Jalen Guyton, the wide receiver going to North Texas, who I think could be in for an all-conference USA year.
Right.
They're not freshmen, ineligible for this.
Right.
But there are a couple guys I've got my eye on that I think could become household names after this season as freshmen, kind of like Ed Oliver did last year at Houston.
Right.
Unquestionably the best freshman in the nation, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm a little biased.
I think you're probably right on that.
So here are guys that I've got pegged for big freshman years. I think it's easy to look at Anthony Hines at A&M. And I know that everybody's focusing on the quarterback situation. Everyone's like, oh, Kellen Mond.
Right.
There's no guarantee that Kellen Mond sees the field.
Right.
Like, in fact, right now you might say the odds are against it.
Right.
Maybe slightly against it.
Would either of us be surprised if he was the number one freshman in the state next year?
Absolutely not.
Not at all.
But if you're asking me to pick one A&M freshman from this outstanding recruiting class that's going to make an impact on the field, I think it's Anthony Hines. They need help at the linebacker spot. He is, at worst, like the third best linebacker in the nation, right?
Yeah.
From a prospect perspective. Plain old, he's a tackling machine, and you can put him on the field right now, and I think he's college ready. So I think Anthony Hines is the guy that people are going to get to know at A&M. At Texas, I look at Tennille Carter, and I know there's Sam Ehlinger, but again, in that same vein, it's like, okay, well, he's got to beat out an incumbent.
Right.
Tennille Carter's going to get the ball. Like, I don't want to say guaranteed because I'm not Tom Herman, but they're probably not going. I would be surprised if they redshirted him.
Right.
I bet he sees the field. I bet he gets a significant number of carries.
Yeah.
He's going to be, behind Chris Warren, but he's going to get carries, and I think he could really make an impact in his freshman year. There's a couple of wide receivers, TCU's Omar Manning and R.J. Sneed at Baylor, I think.
Yeah, who Coach Rule was talking about yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He and Charlie Brewer, Lake Travis, he made a point to say that those two are so far ahead of where freshmen normally are. R.J. Sneed and Charlie Brewer at quarterback, that he's really excited about both of them.
I think R.J. Sneed could have an impact, but we don't really know what Baylor's situation is going to look like. Omar Manning, the TCU wide receiver core is pretty loaded, but here's a guy who could stretch the field and get on the field early. This is very unsexy. Jack Anderson at Texas Tech.
Yeah,
he's already running with the ones.
Yep.
He's at this point, barring injury or barring something going wrong, he's probably going to start.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about a freshman that you feel good about getting on the field, Jack Anderson was a huge get for Tech.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Frisco offensive lineman is going to play significant time for the Red Raiders in 2017. Of course, I have to go with Joshua Fields, the running back from El Paso Americas, who's going to be out there at UTEP, simply because of the style of offense he's going to come into.
Right.
He won't be the number one guy, but he
can work his way into it.
It may not be long before he is.
Right.
At Houston, watch out for a guy named Brian Jones, defensive end from Louisiana.
Yeah.
And when you talk about a guy who is going to – look, when you have Ed Oliver up there, he demands two guys.
Yep.
That is going to create opportunities for young edge rushers to get playing time and get big-time stats. I think Brian Jones could be in there. And then one other guy that I've got my eye on, down at Texas State, Keyston Roach. Okay, Keyston Roach was a Galena Park North Shore cornerback, and anybody who watched Galena Park North Shore's defense past couple of years knows that means something. And I think Everett Withers, that is a place where they are a bit thin at the corner spot.
Yeah.
I think he could see the field early and get some major playing time. He's also, if I remember correctly, a pretty decent threat in the special teams game. So he could see the field in a number of different ways. Those are freshmen that I think we could be hearing a lot about in the college season 2017. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I
You're the worst,
thanks.
but those are good picks.
That's tough but fair.